summit, which we are organizing on 27th May 2015. This will be at the Melbourne Convention Center, and it's a whole day event with with talks from some of the best speakers and thought leaders in software testing. Unicom, we are a B2B platform for IT industry, and we organize conferences, webinars, management training, and we try to have conference led via case studies, where the focus is very much on the how to do things rather than what and why. And we are a global B2B company organizing next generation testing summits in 9 countries across the world. So the theme for this conference in Melbourne on 27th of May this month is on what's latest happening in the area of agile testing, and big data is such a buzzword. So what's happening around it, and how can you test big data projects? Testing around the cloud projects and mobile apps. This automation is the key nowadays, and what should be the test automation strategy and how can that be achieved. We have talks on test data management, and now continuous delivery is again another focus. We are touching upon that with BDD as the process. We are pleased to have Rajesh Mathur, who is also taking this webinar, talking about the future of testing. And then we have other talks by Mark Toomey on the rebellion of the crash test dummies. We have talks from Paul on building great test teams. We have Improved talking on the agile test planning, and we have Revolution IT talking about how crowdsourced testing is being relevant in the testing world. So with this just short introduction, about this event, which is happening on 27th of May at Melbourne Convention Center, I invite all of you to be a part of this event and take benefit out of it. On this note, I would like to pass on the presentation to Mr. Rajesh Mathur. So I'll quickly make him a presenter now. Okay, so we have Rajesh.
Hi everyone. Hi from me and Dr. Lee.
Rajesh introduced,
and I know the webinar.
Yeah, let's introduce Rajesh.
Personally, I don't really like to attend long webinars, and therefore I think I and Lee decided that we will run it as in a more conversatory format, more conversation. More interactive, so that everyone can participate, everyone can have their say. In case you have any questions or any concerns, you can simply send your questions on the chat. Yeah, and we will try to answer all those questions. In case we cannot, then we will definitely take all the questions in the end. Maybe we got 15 minutes, I guess. So 15 minutes of questions and answers, but we will try to answer in case we can. We'll see first slide, and Nitesh has already introduced me and Lee. We are both based in Melbourne, Australia, and we are both context-driven testers. One of the important things that you see on the screen, probably, if you don't see them, definitely send a message on chat. Or if you are facing any problems listening to me, just send a chat message as well. So one of the important things that I'm going to tell you is that Melbourne will have its own meter group, more or less context-driven and more pragmatic and practical meter group called Test Engineering Alliance of Melbourne, that is TEAM, which is another very important not just concept, but it's a very important factor as well, because we run everything as team members. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. Nitesh has already mentioned something about me. I currently work as head of testing at Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. It's a federal agency in Australia. I've got nearly 20 years of experience, mostly in software testing. I started as a developer. So I understand. I understand both areas. He is laughing. Yeah. I worked in different countries, including US, UK, and Australia. So it sure helped me understand the culture of different places, especially when I worked in India and Hong Kong, which had Chinese influence as well. And it's amazing experience. I've been working. Mostly my interest or inclination has been to strengthen the testing community, and that's why I read a lot, I write a lot, I speak to people, I connect with people. I'm a fellow of Hong Kong Computer Society, a senior member of Australian Computer Society, and I'm a long-term member of Association for Software Testing, which again associates itself with context-driven community, and it's a very important platform for all the practical testers who like to learn. In case if you have any comments or if you like to send me direct messages, then my Twitter handle is mentioned at the bottom of the page. I'll hand it over to Lee for his introduction.
Okay, thanks very much, Rajesh. Thanks to Unicom for this opportunity to speak to everyone. My name is Lee Hawkins. I'm the Principal Test Architect here at Dell Software in Melbourne. Unsurprisingly, Dell Software is the software division of the bigger Dell Corporation. I've been working in the software business for also close to 20 years. I also started as a developer, working for IBM in the UK many years ago. But I've been in testing roles for about the last 16 years, from hands-on testing up to team leading in testing, test management, and now as a test architect. And what that really means for me is helping the teams in Dell Software do better testing. The way I do that is to find out as much as I can about what is really going on in testing around the world. So it means attending lots of conferences, talking to lots of people, reading lots of testing blogs, just finding out what's really working for people, and then trying to pass that on to the teams in Dell to help them test better. Similar to Rajesh, I'm closely aligned with the idea of context-driven testing as well, which I first got introduced to in about 2007. I would encourage anyone who's not familiar with that to go and read some more about context-driven testing. You can also follow me on Twitter, ask questions, whatever. And my handle on Twitter is the Rocket Tester.
Brilliantly, and I do agree that reading blogs and reading testing books, it does have immense value. If you cannot attend any conferences, yeah, you can surely attend either the webinars, or you can listen to the recorded versions of the webinars.
That's right. But the great thing is that in the age we live in, there is so much information available absolutely for free.
Exactly.
All it's going to cost you is a bit of your time to go and search it out and read it. There's so much for free.
Yeah, and one can learn a lot from either listening to this or reading this. And I was listening to this YouTube video from James White. And amazing. It's actually I showed it to one of my team members, and I said, we should take some of the ideas from that. And he looked at it. And he actually started doing some testing, he took some testing ideas, included those ideas in the testing strategy, and I was like, wow, yeah, we did find defects using that. How good is that? All right, enough about that. I think we should move to the more important areas. So today's webinar is about business value, especially business value of testing. So the agenda for today's webinar is we have broken it down into different sections. So it is very important for us to understand what testing means to us. And I think in my whole career working in different countries, different companies, and different people, I've seen that different people have different views. It's complete different perceptions about testing, different meanings of testing. Some people think it is extremely important, some people think it is not. Anyway, so I will stick to the agenda. So first of all, what testing means to us. What is the meaning of business value in various contexts? What value does this testing have, and how can this be or can be given to the business and communicated to the business? How different people or stakeholders see business value of testing, and that's why it is important to understand what exactly business value means, and how testers can change perception, especially of those people who see testing as not so important activity. Yeah, so these are major areas that we will be talking about today. I will be moving to the next slide in case you have any questions or anything. Maybe just send a chat message to us. So today, what do you think? What is testing?
What is testing? So we're talking about the business value of testing. So we really should sort of spend some time talking about what we mean by testing, right? So what is testing? Well, as we just said, it depends who you ask. If you do a Google search for what is testing, you'll get lots of different ideas of what testing means. Some might work in your context, some might not. I'm going to speak from my own experience in that testing seems to have been considered to be a fairly low value part of the development process in many companies. It's been seen as a sort of a job that anyone could do.
Oh yeah, because of the reason, anyone can do. It's actually one of the senior program managers in one of the previous jobs. He told me, well, anyone can test. And if we are going through this time, maybe hire some junior testers or some students.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. This seems to be very common, So testing, how hard can it be? And how hard it is depends on how well you want to do it, which is pretty much like any other sort of piece of work. So we prefer to think of testing as more of a intellectual process than a sort of paper pushing process. So what's sort of evolved in the industry is this sort of misnomer that documentation is the same as testing. So you ask people, do you have you done your test planning? Do you have it? And they say, yes, we have a test plan, which is a document, right? That's not the same as test planning. It's confused between documenting the thing and the actual activity of doing it.
Yeah,
a lot of testing has ended up like this, right? So people have all this paperwork and stuff, but they actually spend all their time doing that rather than actually doing real testing.
Now, especially about templates, people say, oh, we got a test strategy template, and we will just fill it and we will have a test strategy, but they don't understand that this template is not testing, as you rightly said. The people misunderstand, or they incorrectly understand or assume that the template is testing. So document is definitely not the replacement of the activity.
That's right.
Mostly people replace testing as an activity to a document.
Yeah. So have you got a test strategy? And they say, yes, we've got a test strategy document. That's not the same thing. Right? So most of these things tend to be template based. They get filled in, they get stuck on in somewhere, and no one actually ever uses them to do anything to their strategy.
Yeah, that's a very important point, that people write test strategy documents, they fill pages after pages after pages, and no one reads them. So what is the value then? Yeah, and probably, in my opinion, this is exactly the problem that testing industry is facing. We replace a document with the actual activity. So we lose the value that we should provide to people. Actually, I do remember one of the incidents in my previous company, the airline. It's one of the biggest airlines in the world, and one of the test leads was working for me, and I asked for a relatively smaller project. I asked for test strategy. I said, can you at least create some initial planning and do some initial planning? Let me know, and we will discuss and we will see how it goes. In case we have to change things, then we will. He came back to me after a few weeks, I do remember, and it was a 96-page document. He said, here is the test strategy. And this was a source of constant frustration, but I had to give him some advice on testing, how to do it. Well, this is another problem that when people work for you, especially from outsourcing companies, and they don't really see the similar value that you see, or they don't really see what you see. So the vision is not clear. They just feel that they have to give one document and testing is done. And that's what the phone feeling is, or pushing pencils. I've actually, one of the test managers told me was that, you know what my job is? I said, I tick boxes. So, and that was slightly bad to hear because the test manager was saying that I'm a box ticker. But we are not box ticker. We actually, it is a cognitive and intellectual process. Yeah.
So in some ways, I think testing has sort of dug this hole for itself by, doing all of this expensive work, creating stuff that the business doesn't care about. So the business probably doesn't care about your 96-page test strategy document. What the business cares about is whether they're getting a good piece of software at the end. So focusing more on things that really do offer the value at the expense of things that don't, it seems like a pretty obvious thing to say, that we've spent a lot of time in the industry creating stuff that the business doesn't really value, and not enough time creating stuff that the business does value. So this brings me to another topic which is useful to bring up at this point, is that more recently we've seen a distinction just in the naming of things between what testing is and what checking is. So this has been a very useful distinction for me to communicate sort of the higher value stuff from some of the lower value stuff. So if you think about what often happens, we have some sort of description of what the software is meant to do. That might be a requirements document or user stories, depending on how you do your development. And then it tends to be someone's job to check the software against those specifications of what it's meant to do. Right? So we said it should do this, and someone has to check whether it does that. So that's checking. That's what we now call checking. So does the software do what we wrote down that it will do?
And you mean basically confirmatory testing. It's just validating. I do remember a long time back when I started working on testing, working with testing industry, I was given a template, test case template, which started with verify that. I don't remember whether it was verify that or validate that, and I'm still getting confused about these two things. Easier thing to remember, easier heuristics is testing versus checking. And checking for us is, are you just checking whether it works? But that's not really testing for me. Testing is, are you able to find the problem that the software may have, and requirements don't really mention that.
Yeah, that's right. Checking is obviously a necessary part of the whole job, but it's only a very small part of the testing picture, because no one's ever seen a very complete requirements document. Right? Requirements and user stories tend to be written from the idea that we write down what the software should do. We don't tend to go into detail about what it shouldn't do. Right? So there's always implicit requirements that you're not going to cover just by checking the software against the description of the software.
True.
So there's so much more to testing that involves thinking outside of the things that you're given to try and find where the real problems lie.
Well, another thing that, just because you mentioned the thinking outside of what is in the requirement documents, I have seen testers using this phrase often, and they say, "Oh, we are the testers with it outside of the box." And outside of the box for them is doing some negative testing. And negative testing for them is either inside of doing some boundary value or special characters. And well, this is part of the heuristics, but this is not completely out of the box thinking. Testing versus checking on this topic, I would say it is extremely very important for all the testers who are listening, that you go to Michael Bolton's blog, which is developsense.com, and look at that, or search for testing versus checking. Yeah, or even simply Googling testing versus checking will bring that particular blog. So, and it is extremely an interesting read, and I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Even some time ago, I tweeted about this that my boss started using. Oh yes, you mean testing, not checking. I said, yeah, this is a clear distinction which someone who's not really a tester can understand. So people who are not testers, if they can understand, that may also means that we are providing value.
Yeah, that's right. It's making that distinction clear using two simple words that everyone understands is a very useful mechanism for getting your message across. So if you're trying to communicate business value using these different terms about, checking is this sort of lower value work, but we also offer this higher value real testing work. communicating that message is a way to show value to the business.
Yeah, actually, I would suggest, if you think that testing is something else for you, then just send a chat message, just send a question to us. The team which is looking at all the questions, they will bring that question across to us, and we will respond to that question. But this is very important. We want to know what you think, what testing is. But on this, I will go to the next slide because we are running. Not really out of the time, but we are on. Yeah, this is interesting subject. So can't stop talking about testing. Anyway, next one is the meaning of business value. Now, again, we are talking about business value of testing. So Gerald Weinberg, or Jerry Weinberg, I was reading about him, and he's a lovely guy. Really nice book if you really want to learn about testing. Jerry Weinberg, James Park, Mike Bolton, they are constant source of knowledge to me. I was reading one article from Jerry, and Jerry mentioned Mary had a little lamb. Yeah? And this analogy is so exciting, this is so interesting, because he explained the meaning of every word, and he said each word has a distinct meaning, or you can basically get different conclusion from everything. Yeah. And that's why we are saying, what is testing? What is the meaning of business value? It's really very important to get each word and the meaning, because different people have different meaning. So what is the meaning of business value? For some people it is just profit, revenues. Yeah? How much more we are getting from testing? What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I think that, as Rajesh has pointed out, that this like testing, you'll find lots of definitions of what business value means, right? So it may be very different in the business that you work in to the business that we work in, and that's okay, as long as you understand what that business value is and how your testing can actually add to that business value. So a common thing I see questioned is return on investment. Testing tool vendors are very keen on demonstrating return on investment. Whatever that means, but I find that question a little bit strange when it comes to testing. I've never heard it said, what is the return on investment of programming, for example?
Yeah.
That would seem like a very strange question, yet asking what the return on investment on testing is.
Or cost of testing.
Yeah.
Cost of quality. Well, this is the quality or testing. Basically, it is, as Jerry said, it is someone's opinion who matters. Yeah. So people who matter, it changes the return of investment, return on investment. I think this is basically another buzzword coming from these test vendors and saying we will reduce your test case writing effort by 60%. Normally my question, I question back to them and I say, based on what? You're reducing effort based on what? How much do you know about my applications or my team and the culture of this guy? So return on investment, I think it's just the buzzword to fool people that we will reduce the return on investment. But it may mean something to you, or you may think that this is business value that you should get return on investment. In some cases, it might actually be right. The return on investment, if we have invested, say, $500,000 on a particular test tool, are we actually using it or not? Yeah, and I'm sure that business does question these things. Like, you bought this tool. Now, what are you doing with this tool? Are you providing some value, or it is just sitting over there in one of the hard drives?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. That you do want to show return on investment in the sense that you want to use the tool to do a better job, a quicker job, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve from that. So, the measuring that in, say, I put this much in and I got this much out, is a very tricky thing to do, I think, in sort of a creative process like developing software. But anyway, that is one of the measures that you see, return on investment.
Another question is normally, what is the meaning of business value? Is it fit for purpose as a business stakeholder? What you are doing in testing, actually provides any value to me or not, or you're doing something entirely different which has no meaning to me. Yeah, and that's why fit for purpose is very important to consider whether this testing the testing that you are doing is practical, is useful to the business stakeholders or not. But well, as I said, different people have different perceptions about the meaning of business value. Yeah, maybe you can talk more about the quality.
Yeah, so often businesses will say that we're the best blah 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 in whatever sector of the market they are, because we're the highest quality, we're a quality focused company, we're ISO 9001 or whatever they are. That quality is seen as a good thing to label on your business, right? That you strive for quality, and why wouldn't it be? But again, what does quality really mean, and what are the sort of sacrifices that the business is prepared to make in order to get higher quality? Right?
Yeah, some people say that you invest more time on testing and you will get quality. Obviously, they are mistaken that testing doesn't mean quality.
No, that's
and there's another discussion. This is interesting.
That's another webinar.
Yeah. So maybe for the unique we could ask quality and testing. Anyway, so another point. A lot of people have been mentioning this for a long time, that it should be cheap. Your business value means it should be cheaper for us. Well, there is no right or wrong here. Yeah, different people have different meanings, different perceptions. Business value may mean different to different people. But anyway, we will move ahead from this, I think. Yeah, and again, if you have any questions, put those questions in the chat or write it down, and right after that we will. Okay, I'll be moving to the next slide. We're coming to the value of testing. Now, I read it somewhere. I think it's Elizabeth Hendrickson and Rob Lambert, and it was somewhere in the ISTQB syllabus as well. The testing has no value as a standalone activity. I don't entirely agree with that, not because it is from ISTQB, and there are. As I said, right or wrong, it is no right or wrong. Testing has no value as a standalone activity. It may have a value as a standalone activity if it is for a testing company, the company which is selling testing services. Sure. Yeah, because this is a standalone activity. It is a standalone activity, and it is still providing value because the testing company thinks that this thing is bringing revenue to them, or they are providing value to their clients. Yeah. Some people, this has been a very common statement. I think that it is a necessary evil, but it has no value otherwise. I think it is the 90s view. It's no longer the view, thankfully, and testers are basic. They're getting some attention now.
Well, yeah, but it still seems to be a very common sort of measurement that people say, how much of the development process cost do we spend on testing? It should be no more than 30% or something. Like you say, it's this chunk of it that we have to spend it for some reason. The business is not quite sure why it has to spend it, but they have to spend this chunk of money, but they want to keep that chunk as small as possible. So it's a necessary spend, but they don't really see the value from it. So why not minimise that spend?
Yeah.
So that still seems to be a common sort of measure of value of testing. Another one, testing must confirm business requirements. Yeah, sure. That we've talked about this checking thing. Sort of checking requirements documents against software is one thing that we can do.
Yeah, but it is saddening that so many testers I meet and I speak to, and they still think that they must have a business requirement document which they will confirm.
Yeah, that's right.
They just want to write their test cases. So mostly I ask this question back to them. What exactly is test case? Yeah, and again there was this article in one of the magazines. I think it was Testing Circus, and James going and Aaron Harder. They wrote it. Yeah. So they wrote what exactly is a test case. Yeah, and it is another interesting read. Yeah. So we do confirm business requirements, but what would we do if there are no business requirements? Again, I would give you another idea to enhance, to increase or improve your knowledge. Long time back, Mike Bolton wrote an article about testing without a map. Yes. Amazing article, and it will give you, to our listeners, so many views or so many, I would say, weapons to talk to business people or developers and other people. Yeah, and I think this was an amazing article. Testing without a map. Yeah,
there are so many requirements floating around that are outside of things called business requirements or requirements documents. So as testers, we don't have to wait for these things or sort of push back and say we can't possibly test anything until we have this document. Again, this sort of reinforces this perception that we just check one thing against another. Whereas if we can share some intellectual ability to uncover requirements or to see requirements where they're not written down, then that makes you appear as a higher value contributor to the development process.
Yeah, that's true, because not all requirements are mentioned in the documents. Yeah, there are hidden requirements, there are missing requirements, there are confusing requirements, there are ambiguous requirements. Yeah, so for testers, they can definitely add value by helping business. So when this is another value for us, that we know more than anyone else about the particular software that we are working on.
That's right.
Because testers have the holistic view of the software. Developers normally work on a particular component. They don't understand the end-to-end. Well, I'm not really generalizing it, but this is what I have seen in most of the places around.
That's right. So testers tend to have the sort of bigger picture, end-to-end sort of user focus when they're looking at software, whereas developers have more of a building mindset where they're building small parts at a time. So they necessarily focus on smaller parts and maybe don't consider other parts of the application that have impact when they're working on them.
Yeah.
So again, testers, they're in a great spot here to demonstrate to the business that they really understand what the software is, what it's for, how customers get value from it. So that's a way to show that you have value to the whole process, is by doing that. Whereas if you're the tester that requires a business requirements document before you can do anything, and then all you do is check the things in the requirements document against the software, there's all this other stuff that is going to slip out. Probably get blamed on testing, rightly or wrongly. But just testing against requirements is a trap. It's going to cost you.
It is boring because you're just confirming something. And that's why, because some of us, we can confirm what is there in the business requirements. That's why people say anyone can test. Because, see, this is not testing. Yeah, this is checking. Because all you're doing is checking against the requirements. Yeah? You are not really saying, I think there is something missing. Yeah. Again, the same example. Mary had a little lamb. So Jerry said, Mary had, Joan didn't. She had, she doesn't have. Yeah. Just a one, not 1,000. Little. It's a little lamb, not really huge or massive. Again, this is very subjective term. Little, how little is? Yeah. Little might be too small for work, or very big for you. And it's a lamb. Yeah, Mary had a little lamb. Lamb, it's probably not a lion. She had a lamb. Yeah, so each thing, yeah, we are not just confirming, but we are deriving meaning out of the requirement. In case something is missing, we must tell business or the stakeholders that something is missing, and that's how they will understand the value of it.
That's right. So things like focusing on requirements traceability matrix and stuff like that. So, you have this list of incomplete requirements, and you have this list of incomplete tests that match the requirements, and then you say you've got 100% requirement coverage. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because there's all this stuff that isn't in the requirements.
No, actually, it doesn't make any sense, because you're just saying the requirements are missing, which you don't know about, and you're still preparing a traceability matrix. So you're tracing with what? Something which is incomplete. So basically, traceability matrix is also incomplete. Most people don't understand that, but because they have been learning from people who have been doing it for a long time. And I'm actually thanking that they are giving us this opportunity to tell people that what has value. Yeah, requirement traceability matrix may have some value.
It's not the whole picture.
It's not the whole picture. For the whole picture, you'll have to do much more than that. Anyways, yeah. Another point that people say testing brings quality to business. Well, it's somewhat we are part of bringing quality to business, but everyone is responsible for bringing quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, testers can't actually help the quality improve. Right? They can tell you about problems that they see in the software that the business might want to act on in order to improve the quality. But if they choose not to do anything about the problems that were identified, then the quality is not going to change. Yeah. So it's sure testing it plays a role in this, but the idea that having more testing improves quality seems a bit strange as well. All more testing will do is tell you about more and more problems that we identify in the software. That will actually probably give the perception to the business that the software is of lower and lower quality, because suddenly they know about more of the things that are problematic.
True, exactly. I agree.
So that's a bit of it's probably the opposite of what people think.
Yeah. Anyway, we got 10 minutes, so we will try to finish it faster, and I think it is going okay. People are learning. If you are not able to make any notes, then obviously this session is recorded and it will be available afterwards. Yeah. Testing adds confidence or not, that's another discussion. Yeah. What is the value of testing? Is it actually adding confidence? Not. Is there any value or not? Or is there something else? It is up to you to decide. Yeah. But our suggestion, our strong recommendation is that you go through all the blogs, all the documents that we mentioned, all the articles, try to understand what exactly testing means and how it provides value. Writing a document doesn't mean that you're doing testing or it is providing value. Aligning yourself with business values does provide value to the business. Telling them what is right for them and sharing your knowledge with them, helping them doing better is value.
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time in the testing business sort of writing stuff down or describing testing or describing how we're going to do testing. So we spend a lot of time saying how we're going to do testing to people that actually don't care about how you do testing. What they care about is the information that you provide by doing that testing. They're not so focused on whether you use test cases or requirements matrices or any of that stuff. What they want to know is what is the sort of quality state of their software.
Exactly, yeah. I think on this, I will move to the next slide, yeah. Okay, how tester can show business value? Some of it we have already mentioned in the previous slide and previous slides, yeah, but it is important to understand, can we really show value to business or business value? If we can, how? I think we should focus on how we can provide value of business value, yeah? How testers can add value to the business. Yeah. Someone questioned sometime ago on LinkedIn on one of my comments, someone commented back and said, "Oh well, value is a buzzword, overused word. Yeah, no one cares about it." Then I have to give the definition. What exactly is value? Yeah, and well, we have already said that value means different to different people. It has different definition, but testers should provide value. How they can provide? It's through critical thinking, both in terms of the functionality of the product and the process being used to build it. And what it means is, testers, you are in the best position to understand the whole functionality of the product. And you also understand the process because more or less you have been involved in the software development process since beginning. So use that. Yeah, use critical thinking and lateral thinking to find out the problems that are not visible to others. We are not going to fight with developers. We are not going to fight with business people or project managers. We need to tell them that we are doing it, properly communicating it with them, that we are doing it just because we want software to be improved, to have better quality, and which is the goal that everyone is working on.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, again, a large part of the way sort of testing department value in the past has been measured is a little bit in terms of that the business probably doesn't care about very much. So the outcome of a lot of test cycles and more traditional sort of approaches to testing, there's basically been a whole set of test cases checked off, and we've done this many test cases, this many failed. that doesn't really tell a business very much at all. So you've got all these test cases, statistics about them, maybe a bucket full of defects at the end. But really what the business wants to know is more sort of information, not just that data-driven stuff. So you're saying we did all these test cases, they don't know what the test cases mean.
We did 500 test cases, all passed.
It doesn't tell the business anything. They don't know what a test case is. They don't know what each of the test cases actually test. So it's more about providing the same data, but in a way that's more informative to people in the business. Based on that, can they release the software or not? You know, how do they make that risk decision?
Actually, I was reading something I do remember from lessons learned in software testing, and Cam and James and Brett, they have mentioned that you focus on failure. As testers, we focus on failure so that our clients or internal clients or external clients, so that our clients can focus on success. Mm-hmm. And that is a very important thing to understand, that we are focusing on failures or negativity so that people can get something positive out of that. Yeah, and this is something that we need to communicate to our stakeholders.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, Michael Bolton used the term headlights. He said testing is like the headlights of a project. So
actually, it is also mentioned in the lessons learned book. Again, testers who are listening to us, I would strongly recommend that they must read lessons learned in software testing. It's an amazing book.
It is very good.
I don't get any commission out of that, but still, I get value out of that, and that is why I'm recommending it to you.
Yeah. So, testing is the headlights of the project. So the analogy there was you wouldn't think of driving fast in a car at night without your headlights on, because the headlights show you where you're going, show you any danger ahead. Right? Yeah. So the idea is that testing allows your development to go quickly but safely, because we're shining a light on how the software is actually looking at any point in time.
Exactly.
So that's a nice little analogy, I think, is that. So you can see here the immediate value that testing has, right? Because it's going to stop you crashing into the wall. Right?
So, true, yeah, exactly. And the last one that I would like to mention about is, as testers, we must remember the mission of the testing. It can be the mission of the testing group or the business group or the company, because the mission is driving everything for us. Yeah? And mission might depend on the industry or the company or the project or some of the personalities of the team members or something else. Yeah, missions might be different, but all the testing projects or all testing that we work on, it changes places to place. So we should align ourselves with the mission of the testing. Yeah, and if organizations say that you need to find the important bugs first, or you should just verify things, or just provide a general assessment of quality, what do you think? Yeah. Well, we are not making decisions, but we just provide information to people. Yeah. I normally say to people that my job is to show a mirror to people. Now it's up to you to decide whether you look good or bad. Yeah. I'm just providing some information. Yeah. So different missions, and our mission should align with more.
Something that a lot of testing groups don't really have, I think, is any sort of mission or it's kind of a sense of purpose for why they're doing the work that they're doing. And if you don't have that mission aligned with what the business thinks your mission should be, then there's some immediate sort of misalignment there in what you're doing and probably the way you're providing information to them. So it's really in the tester's best interest to align closely with what the business wants, so that the money they're spending on you is seen as good value for money.
Yeah, you may not agree with everything, but that's what we are saying, that you need to communicate what is right for them. They may say, yeah, you need to just write the document. Well, our job is to tell them that writing document will not help them.
Yeah, that's right. Again, we should be able to be critical of the process to some degree.
I didn't realize that we have been talking for 45 minutes now, and it's going so fine. Yeah, it's interesting. These kind of discussions, I like those discussions. But anyway, I think I should go to the next slide, which is the closing remarks. And closing remarks are basically traditional approaches to testing, and traditional means normally writing the test cases and just confirming the requirements, which checking. Yeah. So traditional approaches to testing have failed to clearly communicate their business value. Decisions made based purely on cost have resulted, basically, they haven't resulted in anything, yeah?
So the problem is that testing groups have sort of failed to show their value to the business. So the business thinks, well, we have to do this testing, but we don't really know what value we get from it. So the best thing we can do is to keep the cost of that as low as possible.
Yeah.
So the way you do that is,
the cost
the way you do
means
that
nothing,
is
yeah.
you outsource it somewhere cheaper or whatever, and
You get no value on it.
you know, so you're getting that same low value stuff for less money, but you're still getting low value stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
So you're basically getting low value out of low money.
yeah, you're paying less money.
Yeah,
It's not very good.
yeah, exactly.
But wouldn't it be better if well, most businesses will probably take the opportunity to spend more money if they get more value for that money.
So exactly, I entirely agree with that. And next point is testers need to up their game to show their value. Treat testing as a skilled intellectual activity, not mechanical, repeatable labor that anyone can do. Not anyone can do it. Not everyone can do it. Become trusted information providers, not policemen. Testing becomes invaluable. The headlights of the project have been moved to the side, which is question and answer. We are finishing right on time.
Yeah,
exactly. And I didn't hear any clapping. Oh, everyone is on mute here. All right, so our details are there. And again, I've mentioned that look out for the launch of our meetup group in Melbourne. And, well, it is going to be a global group, so anyone can join. Test Engineering Alliance of Melbourne. We will take questions now.
Right. Thanks, Rajesh, and thanks, Lee, for the wonderful insight. I can see the hand raised by Helen. So, Helen, I am going to unmute you, and you can ask the question to our panel members.
Okay, let's see another thing. If you have any questions there, in case there are no questions, in case I think you should take over now, in case no questions.
Do we have any questions?
So thanks everyone for their attendance, and Nitesh, if you want to wrap up.
Thanks, Rajesh. So it was a wonderful insight, about the business value of the testing. And as Rajesh and Professor Lee was somewhere talking, we have to understand the business value and in software testing and before approaching. And this is what the business is also looking at. It's wonderful to see Rajesh also, being a part of a fantastic meetup group in Melbourne. We are also a part of that group. Thanks, Rajesh, for sharing that information. We hope and we invite all of you to come to the Next Generation Testing Leadership Summit. So it's not a large event. We are expecting about 45 to 50 delegates, from various companies to come and share the knowledge. And we have some fantastic speakers, including Rajesh, doing a keynote at that event. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks a lot, Rajesh and Dr. Lee Hawkins for sharing their insights. It has been quite insightful. We'll be sharing the recorded session of the session. We have got a question for you, Rajesh. Lee, if it's fine if I can spell out that question. So we have a question from Barry Noble. Rajesh, is it possible for you to discuss on that? Right. So it seems that some of them have Yeah. So what we'll do is that we'll pass on this question, Barry, to Rajesh, and try to get the answers from you. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a nice day. And hope to see you very soon at one of our meetups or the event. Thanks. Bye bye.